You're listening to Cynthia and Josie's Unmentionables. And I feel like on this podcast, we've talked about grief a couple of times
We
before.
have. We absolutely have.
And I've been thinking a lot about grief lately, in particular, because as everyone knows, I lost my father-in-law in the at Christmas time. And I've been watching Jason go through, all of the many stages of grief.
Of course.
And it comes in many forms. And I think one of the things that is an unmentionable and that we don't talk about enough is what happens when you lose a spouse. And it's one of those things that people don't like to think about. You think about it's going to happen like way down the road and what life might be like. And that's why we were so excited to bring on Jessica Foley, who has an incredible website called Grief Unraveled. And Jessica lost her husband, Stephen, when she was only 35 and he was 35, after he was in a race and he collapsed. And Jessica, you're here today. Thank you so much for being here. Can you take us back to that day and what happened?
Sure, yeah. So as you said, Stephen and I were both 35 when he died. At the time, I was pregnant with our second daughter. We had a 2.5-year-old at home, and I was 7 months pregnant. And Stephen had always been a natural athlete. He was one of those people that, any sport he picked up, he was good at. And I remember just a few months before race weekend, he was like, I think I'm going to go out for a run. And he did 10K, came home and was like, that was really easy. And I was like, what? Nobody just does that. So he decided to sign up for the Ottawa Half Marathon. And yeah, he was doing well. I was tracking him on the app that day. I wasn't at the race. I was at home. And near the finish line, his heart stopped. And they were never able to revive him or get his heartbeat going again. And that just changed the entire trajectory of my life in like one moment.
God, you were pregnant at the time too, dealing with this 2.5-year-old child.
What was that like? How did you get a phone call? How did that work?
I did. So a family member of mine had trained with Stephen, and so he was running with Stephen, and he was with him when he collapsed. So he called me, and I didn't know right away what had happened. They just said, he's not doing well. He's not feeling okay. He's just with the EMS. And it took, I would say, over an hour until I was able to organize getting myself to where he was. And until I physically got there, I did not know if he was still alive or not. And it's so weird because shock does crazy things to us. But I remember, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but I remember straightening my hair. I was getting ready to go somewhere. And I didn't know at the time that my husband was already dead. But I'm waiting for someone to call me. And I had just gotten out of the shower. I'm I'll dry my hair. I'll straighten my hair. Looking back, it's so crazy.
Yeah, but I've heard things like this, like that when you go into that shock mode, it's almost like I have to just cling to anything that feels normal, because if I start to accept this new normal, I'm just going to completely fall apart.
Yes. And you don't consciously think that at the time. It's just your body goes into protective mode.
Was when you I guess you went right to the hospital. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it wasn't the hospital, actually. They set up near the finish line of the race, they set up a makeshift kind of hospital in one of the military buildings. So I never did go to a hospital.
But you were able to go to him?
Yes.
Wow. So what no one prepares you for that moment. So is it all a blur when you look back, or do you remember certain things that were?
I remember it.
Okay.
Yeah,
can you talk about that?
I remember seeing, my uncle had also run that race that day. And I remember getting into this building and seeing my uncle at the end of the hallway and looking at his face. And I knew that's when I knew.
Did they say there was any, like, was it a heart problem? I don't know why. I always feel like I need to know, like, what happened, right? Like,
Yes. And so this is, people do this. And I think
mhm,
it's just a natural tendency because part of us wants to, like, whether we admit it or not, we want to know that, like, it can't happen to us, right? Like,
absolutely.
you
Yep.
want to know there has to be a reason
A
why,
reason why
and
this
I can prevent
happened.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah.
Mm,
They said, like, we did all the genetic testing and whatnot. It wasn't like lifestyle, or he was very active person. But they said it could have happened anywhere. So he could have been driving, our oldest to the park and it happened. He could have been anywhere. So being there where paramedics were able to respond immediately
mhm.
was, I don't know, like the best case scenario. I don't know if
Hmm.
how
I
you
know.
really put that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the
Wow.
things that, having just gone through a loss in our family, I didn't think about too much was just the sort of like business aspects of dealing with next of kin. And, Jason had to go through the experience of being with the body and waiting for paramedics and then talking to police. And then it's the whole business aspect of filing taxes and like all these different aspects. What were some of the things that maybe shocked you the most during that or stood out to you that you maybe wished you knew about in advance?
A couple of things. So one, speaking of taxes, so I'm an accountant.
Mhm.
Um, that's been my job forever. And it took me 4 years to file my taxes after Stephen died.
Because of grief or
I
because, like,
just like, it's debilitating. Grief is
yeah.
debilitating. And then I deal with like depression and anxiety also.
Mhm.
So it was one of those things that I was like, I don't have it in me to do it.
This is I've worked a lot with people who are unhoused, right? And I've worked for years and years and years, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Everyone is one step away from being homeless, and it's because of situations like this that they don't take into account that you just one thing happens and then you can fall into a depression and you just don't want to live the same life that you don't care about the bill on the table. You don't care about finding food. It becomes like it's crazy that you say that because it can happen to absolutely
It
anybody.
can happen to anybody. And listen, last week, um, I got a disconnection notice from Hydro because I forgot to pay my bill. It has nothing to do with me not having the
Hmm.
funds. Like 7 years later, and I'm still struggling with like sometimes most basic tasks, but then I can outperform other things in my life. So it's
Hmm.
a constant juggle. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Wow.
still have heat. We're all good, but
How did so you had a 2.5-year-old at the time you're pregnant. How did you talk about it with your daughter?
the biggest thing was to use real words. Like daddy died, his heart stopped working. Like it really gets I don't know, my back up when I hear people say things like, "Oh,
Fell asleep
we
and didn't wake
lost
up?
him. He fell
Mm.
asleep. He didn't wake up, and like daddy had to go away for a long time." And it's like, it's so confusing to a little brain. Like an
Hmm.
adult brain can't even comprehend it. So so from the beginning, I always use real words in a way that they can, understand it.
Do you now feel the need, or were you like kind of, I'm always curious about like the religious aspect. Like I'm not a religious person, but I was raised religious, and I often think if something happened, or even now with having Jaya lost his grandfather, it's like trying to contextualize like what what it could mean, even though we don't know. But like,
Hmm.
have you tried to put that language now to both your kids around
Yes.
like what, I don't know where Stephen might be.
Yeah, and like I don't know where he is, but uh like I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
But for us, we look for signs. Like I'm not religious. My kids do go to Catholic school. So it'll be interesting as they go through their schooling, how they put it all together themselves. But for me, I look for the signs, and like we know that daddy's spirit is with us. And, you know, if we see a cardinal, that daddy sent that to us. And in the
Oh,
summer, we have a bunny that comes every night on our front lawn, and they're like, Daddy sent the bunny again.
oh,
So it's those little connecting pieces for them so that they feel the love. And I mean, it could be total BS. I don't know, but I
yeah.
had, but, but for me, it helps me keep a connection with him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you worry as they get older about um, memories that you have still that you have to kind of keep alive to teach them about your husband? Like, has that been a bit of a task for you?
It's huge. Yeah. In the beginning, I felt this pressure to be everything that Stephen was and everything that I am. Because we tend to idolize people after they die, you know, even people
Definitely.
with not always the greatest qualities. But Stephen truly was like salt of the earth, the most wonderful human being I've ever known. And so I felt this pressure. Everything I did, it was like, what would Stephen do in this situation? And over time, I think I've like incorporated some of him into my being.
Hmm.
And so that's how I can keep his legacy alive for them. But supporting grieving kids is a full time job. As they're developing, their understanding of death changes. Like, I don't think kids can understand the permanence of death until they're about 5 or 6.
Hmm.
So as they're getting older, then they're getting questions, and then their grief is coming up again, and they're realizing, like, oh shit, wait, my dad really is gone. Like, he really is dead. Wait, I really never got to meet my dad. Like, I don't have a picture with him.
Yeah.
So it's always evolving, and there's many days that I don't want to deal with the grief, but I have to because I have two little humans who are having their own, you know, grief moment and need
Hmm.
support.
You guys had such an incredible love story. Like, I loved hearing the fact that the two of you, when you were, I guess, early in your relationship or early in your marriage, that you both had your separate jobs. You were an accountant, you guys were working, you're kind of powering away on your laptops, and you both kind of looked at each other and had this moment of like, what are we doing here? And you made this bold decision to like get rid of all your stuff and travel the world for an entire year. You said you like chased the summers.
We did.
Do you feel like looking back that there was something like knowing in that decision? Like that is such a
Sometimes,
bold,
yes,
yeah.
sometimes I wonder that. And when he first died, people would say to me, like, oh, you're so lucky you guys did that. And I would be like, just shut the fuck up. Like, like, I don't want to hear that because, like, he's not here now, so we can't do it again. But
Right.
as time goes on, I'm so grateful that we've had those memories. And it helps me bring those stories into raising my girls because we
Hmm.
always had this dream of like, we want to raise little world travelers. Like, we want them to see the world too. So I like the idea that they know what mommy and daddy did and how we didn't always have to do exactly what society expected of us. Um, and I hope that they hold that as they make decisions, you know, as they get older.
Do you see also now? I mean, I guess your oldest is how old now? Like 10?
She's
Your
9,
baby?
almost 10.
9. Do you see him in her?
Yes, she looks just like him. She
Oh,
looks
okay.
just like him. Her demeanor is more me,
Hmm.
and then my youngest is him 100%. Like, she is wild, she is sneaky, like
Hmm.
so much energy. And I always joke with my mother-in-law that like she was supposed to be his karma, and now I'm, you know, I'm stuck with it.
No, you're stuck with her. That's so funny.
But they, yeah, they both have qualities of him, and that's really special.
You mentioned just that people were bringing up the trip and how upsetting that was to you early on. And I have a friend who lost her father, and she said after that experience, she was just like, she wanted to write a book called Death for Dummies, because people said so many well-meaning but insensitive and stupid things. So what are some of the worst things that people did or should, now that you've talked to a lot of grieving widows, like what are some things that people should not do? And what are conversely some things that actually were really, really meaningful to you in those early days?
Yeah, I think I've thought about this question a lot, and I don't know what the real answer is and what to say that's not triggering and what might be, because sometimes it depends on the person, like, and how genuine they are and what they're saying, because sometimes people would like just the mention of their husband would trigger me. Like that was enough. But somebody else could say it and it didn't trigger me. And I think it was like whether or not they were able to hold space for me, or whether their concern was like performative or not, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that makes a difference. But I think the worst thing is not saying anything.
Yes.
No matter how much time has passed, say something. Don't put the burden on the grieving person to kind of like address the elephant in the room, because it's so uncomfortable. I would rather somebody just say to me, even if I haven't seen them in 5 years, like, listen, I didn't know how to show up and I'm really sorry. But you know, whatever, I'm sorry for your loss and I'm thinking about you.
Wow. So now where are you at? Like you're I know. I heard that you might is it, are you thinking of dating again? Like how do you move from
Oh,
one place to another, you know?
oh my God. I have dated. Yes. So I started dating after 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years after Steven died. And I've always been like a boyfriend girl. Like I had two other boyfriends before Steven, and that was it. So I've never dated. I didn't know how to date. And then I dated. like
Oh
I
God.
had fun and had my heart broken a few times.
Mhm.
And now I'm in a place where, first of all, the dating pool is like, I don't know. It's not for the faint of heart, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems so weird to be dating using an app, which I have done, and that's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm in a place of just like focusing on myself, focusing on the girls, my own mental health. And I think I was dating from a place of loneliness before.
Mhm.
And now when I'm ready to date again, it's going to be like more intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like Steven has big shoes to fill.
Or whomever, you mean the guy who comes in has
Oh,
big
sorry.
shoes to, yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
The guy has, yeah. The next guy has big shoes to fill.
Yeah. Well, and
Big
that's
shoes.
true. And it must be like he will always be a part of your life.
Of
And
course.
so it will be this person who needs to be able to see that and accept that third person in or fourth
Yes.
person in the relationship in a way.
It's weird because, like, this is going to sound horrible, but I mean, it's an unmentionable. There are a lot of my friends who are single, and they've talked about how, you know, it would be good if they could find someone who, you know, whose wife passed, because then they still think that they're like genuine people, that they didn't just fall out of the dating scene because they had, I don't know, like you know what I
messy
mean?
divorce, that
a
they were
messy
crappy.
divorce
Yes.
that had a horrible, like all this, you know, drama in their, but then you think like, how do you date someone who has lost someone who it was like the love of their life? And how do you fill that space? And will they always be comparing their new person to their ex? And will they go on? I've read somewhere that people actually want to re-experience things with new people in their lives that they liked from the past, like from things that they enjoyed in the past with their new person. So, do you go on a trip that you went on with Steven with your new person in the future? Like, all of this is very complicated.
It's so complicated, honestly. And I think the biggest part is like grief totally, for me, just just like obliterated everything that I was, because it was like, who am I now? I was Steven's wife. Like, we grew up together, essentially. You know, we met in our early 20s. And so we got our first big real paychecks together. We bought our first house together. We had kids together. And so I didn't really know who I was without Steven on my own. And if you really do the grief work, like really dive into it head first, you're going to dig up more than just your grief. Like, you're digging into your childhood, you're digging into how you deal with this stuff. And so I don't even know who I am anymore. And like, maybe what I want now is not what I would have wanted like 10 years ago in a relationship.
Right.
Oh my God, say more about this, because like I remember you were saying that you had this pressure, especially because you were pregnant right after you found out this news and you've got this little child. And of course you went into mom mode and you were like, okay, before I give birth, I've got 7 weeks before I'm going to be able to get over this grief. So talk about that. Like, that seems like such a mom thing to do. Like, okay, I'm going to organize and I'm going to get over this. Talk about maybe how that might have been initially helpful, but what grief actually is for people who aren't like prepared for this.
Yes. So exactly right. I was like, I have 7 weeks. I was going to therapists. I was reading grief books. I was going to support groups. Like, with my big pregnant belly, I would walk up like 4 flights of stairs to this grief support group here in Ottawa once a week and sit around a circle and like, my name is Jessica, my husband Steven died. And I think it was the only way I could cope at the time. And then you think, so then, you know, life happens. And then for me, it was COVID. So like, Steven died in May and I had a baby in August, and then March was COVID. So for the widows or people who have lost, you know, loved ones during COVID, I think somebody needs to go and study what that grief journey looks like, because like, we heal in community, and the isolation that the pandemic brought was just an added layer to everything. But I think we have this idea that like, by 1 year, we're going to be better. And it'll be 7 years for me this month. And I'm not like I was in those early days of grief, but I have days that send me back, days, weeks, where like, I'm crying all day. I feel like all I can manage to do is, you know, keep my kids alive and fed and get them to school. But anything else, like, I just don't have it in me.
Do you feel like you need to hide that? No, it's so yes. We're crying for you.
Oh, and so this is the other weird thing is like, I have days where like, I can't stop crying. And then I have days, because I think my body protects me, it's like almost like I dissociate, really, like, where I can't cry even if I wanted to. Right. Like, I probably won't cry today at all.
Yes. We will.
We're crying for you.
Like, yeah. And so I think, yeah, it's hard. It's a journey, and it's a long journey. And I think we need to talk about it more, because we need to be more prepared. Like, I did not know this. Like, I had no freaking idea that this is what grief looks like, that there are people walking amongst me at the grocery store down the street who are like so heartbroken, but still putting on a brave face.
It's that, like, you always think, well, what, someone's mean to you in a grocery store, and you forget, wait, what are they going through? Oh, that bitch did this to me, and she was like this. It's like, okay, what's their story, right? We all have to remember that. We have to find the empathy there, because everyone has things.
You wrote me about the it was like some unexpected things that people do during grief.
What are weird things that we do as grievers?
Yes.
Yeah, like, I remember in the first year, so many people telling me like they were sleeping with the urn every night for years.
Wow.
I mean, I would do it.
You would?
Although I don't sleep with Joel now, but maybe I'll sleep with him if he didn't snore.
Yeah. If we couldn't talk back, it'd be great.
Yeah, Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else, like just little things. So I have the week that Stephen died, like before he died, the accountant in me used to be really good at like shopping all the sales for groceries and stuff. So I had all these coupons for Palmolive, like dish soap.
Yeah.
And I sent him to Walmart to price match and then use coupons for like 10 bottles of Palmolive. And he was like, seriously, like this is embarrassing. And I was like, just do it. So he went and he got like 10 or 12 bottles of Palmolive. And maybe a year ago, I got to the last bottle.
Oh,
And it's still, and my father-in-law was here and I was like, oh my God, I can't throw it out. And
Yeah.
my father-in-law was like, so don't throw it out. So like there's an empty bottle of Palmolive under my kitchen sink. And I'm like, sometimes like I have a cleaner that comes sometimes and I'm like, don't throw this out, please. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like these linking objects that that make sense to me,
Yeah.
but are likely crazy to other people.
My best friend died, and I still have the outfit that I wore the last time I saw him in my cupboard. And every time I look at that outfit, I'm like, no, I'm not going to touch that outfit. It's the last outfit that I wore when I was with him. Yeah.
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 Well, and also you were, I know you said that you had that moment where even after Stephen died and your parents came to your place, and your parents are divorced, and you were super like, oh God, it's bad enough that I'm dealing with grief, but also I don't want my parents in the
All
same
in one house.
But that you had that moment where you crawled into bed with your dad, and can you talk about that? That was a connected dot as well.
Yes. Yes. So this one could make me cry. Yeah, it's like I still remember, like there's a lot that's blurry for me in those first, few weeks. But I do remember sitting on the couch at my aunt's house that same day that he died. And I think my dad got in late that night because our families are in Newfoundland. And I remember the feeling of him walking in, and he is as devastated and heartbroken for me and for him because he loves Stephen so much. I remember that first hug. And then I remember that night being like, I can't sleep. I need my dad. And crawling into bed next to him, like 35 years old, crawling into bed with my 60-year-old dad. While my 3-year-old was upstairs, without hers. And yeah, I wish I could access my anger more, to be honest. Like, I don't know how to do that because sometimes I just like, how is this fair that like I'm 40 something now and I still have my dad and she doesn't? Like,
Yeah.
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 Wow. Is there any we're like a bottle?
I'm not usually so emotional. This whole podcast, I'm like a fucking water fountain here. I'm just like, I also think like it makes me also think about my husband a little bit, right? And it makes me think of like, he's so good to me. He really is. Like, and I complain about him all the fucking time. All the time. And he's such a good man, and he's a good guy, and I'm just should be nicer to him. That's all.
Honestly, I carry a lot of guilt with that. I'm like, I wish Stephen could have this version of me who doesn't stress so much, who isn't worried so much, who takes anxiety medication,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have this version of me now because I know that he would love me even more now. And I also would take Stephen back in a heartbeat with only his most annoying qualities. Like, even if he came back only doing all the annoying things, I would still take him back in a heartbeat. Like if
just, you've created this whole community, like you're a writer. And so you took your grief and you made something out of it, which I think is so powerful. What has been the most rewarding part of creating Grief Unraveled?
So for me, it started as a secret outlet. I had blocked everybody I knew. And I started it one day because somebody pissed me off. And I was like, I need somewhere to write that's safe, that nobody I know is going to read. And so it started like very organically, and it's grown that way. Like, it's not my job. It's not, it truly is an outlet for me. And then the connections I've made are just like a beautiful, result of that. So I've made a lot of friends online that have since become like real life best friends. I have one friend in particular, and we met online during COVID. And 3 years ago, I messaged her and I was like, I just booked us a house in PEI for us and the kids, so we're going. And so we went to
She
Widow.
lost her husband as well. Yeah, two widows. Okay,
Lost her
yes.
husband, the same year. And two widows, 5 kids. We spent a week in PEI together, and now she is like one of my best friends. Her son, for his 10th birthday this fall, his wish was to fly to Ottawa and come stay with me and the girls. So he flew by himself, and I went and picked him up at the airport. And so there's these beautiful friendships that have like formed from this devastating loss that we all share. And by being vulnerable, I think that's been what has saved me.
Well, I just want to say to anyone listening, the reason why I even found out about you is because, excuse me, the show I work on, did this incredible series called Mom Life Crisis. And in particular, this most recent one was just interviewing widows. And they all have incredible stories. You're included in there. And, I think everyone needs to check it out. It's just such a great listen. It's a great series. And we'll put a link in our show notes for that as well.
Yep.
Any other words of wisdom that you would leave people who are struggling with any kind of loss right now?
I think let yourself grieve, like let yourself feel it. And it will get easier, and then it will get harder again, and it will get easier. And it's like this. And it's a part of life. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And it will lighten. It will get lighter.
Thank you.
Jessica, you're an incredible inspiration.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you for
nice
sharing your
meeting you.
story.
Thank you.
Stay